Good morning. Thanks, Marshy. Hi, everybody. So happy to see you all here. What's going on? What's the tea? Hi, Cetera. Did I pronounce it right? I haven't said it out loud. Hi, Piggy. Hi, Arcadia. Hi, James. Hi, Peachy. Hi, Marshy. Alex, thank you so much for the 3-month resub. Hi, Mod Driver. Sorry, let me move this Wii remote. Hi, D. Hi, Crimson. Every time my phone lit up a Twitch notification, I was hoping for an M stream, and it's been so long. I finally got the notification I was looking for. Yes, thank you all so much for being patient. I really appreciate it. I just really haven't had like the drive to like stream anything, like, because there's no new games coming out. And I also, like, I said this last stream, we did like kind of an out of drag stream the other day. I worked through Christmas, Halloween, and my birthday last year, so I kind of wanted to take January this year to like relax. This year is gonna be busy, so I was like, might as well take today and like the week and whatever to just kind of chill out, pace myself, and take care of my body, really. But yeah, we're gonna play some Wii games today. I have a classique, and then we're gonna play like this random like indie game that I want to try out. But yeah, I think that's the vibe of the stream. I'm not gonna play Fire Emblem on stream today because I'm using that for my personal time. And I'm gonna play it when I end stream, so I don't want to like do... I'm also already pretty far in it, so I don't want to like ruin it. So I'm already at chapter 14. And there's 26 chapters. So I'm already almost halfway done. Is that, what's 26 divided by 7? Nope, 26 divided by 2. Why did I say 7? Hi, Bunny Boy, 13. So I am halfway done. I was close. The math is mathing. Yes, Wii games. Hold on, let me do a shout out for my oomphy in the chat trying to become a Twitch streamer. Shaka Khan. Hi, Persona. Okay, let's get into this. This is a classic I'm sure everybody is excited for. Okay. That was so loud, girl. Right. My thing is messed up. Hold on, guys. I need to get a new capture card. Do I really have to? Oh! Okay, hold on. Crimson, thank you for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Okay. Hold on, I just want to make sure it doesn't say my dead name. Okay, we're good. Okay, we're good. Oops, wrong one. For whatever reason, my capture card has like a weird thing that goes on the screen. It's very weird. Oh my god, it's that pretty lady from the 2K ad. Sauce, thank you. Yes, anybody that is just joining now and didn't see my update, I'm going to be working with 2K Games and WWE, which is a lifelong dream of mine, on some projects for the new WWE game coming out soon. Hopefully, I think. I don't know. Oh. Not French Bayonetta, please. Future WWE Diva Champ right here. I mean, I want to train to wrestle. There's a queer wrestling league here in Boston, but they haven't gotten back to me. But I would love to train to do that. But as of right now, I haven't heard anything. I love the little hat. The little hat is so gender. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it. I was worried everybody was gonna forget about me. Now, it's up for debate that this is the best Mario Party, and I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon and say it is the best Mario Party. This one is a classique. Thank you, SlayMama123, for resubscribing with your subscription of Prime. Thank you. It took a hot minute to do my hair today, so I appreciate. I'm probably gonna curl it for the upcoming press event I have. Guys, when I tell you, okay, last night, do you guys want to hear a funny story? So, last night, I had gotten a delivery, so I got some shoes that I needed for an upcoming press event that I cannot disclose, but you will see it next week. So I needed to try out these shoes that I got. There's like pretzel in my fucking teeth. So I had to try out these shoes that I got for this press event. They fit, they're very comfortable, but I wanted to make sure I broke them in a little bit. So last night while I was playing Fire Emblem, I was sitting here in my chair with my heels on playing Fire Emblem, just kicking it out of drag, just like, ooh, I got my heels on. They do fit though, it was lovely. Oh, there's a hair on the straw. I'd be fucking up the Snapple. Snapple fucks lately. Wait, did they still do the thing on the inside of the cap? Oh girl, I can't read that. I'm gonna need a flashlight to read that shit. Real fact. At birth, a Dalmatian is always pure white. That is interesting. Wow. Oh my god, look at all the playable characters! That's interesting, isn't it? You said this woman died 7 years ago. Well, that woman is me. You didn't go missing? I'm right here. Do you guys remember Lisa Guerrero? Wait! During Drag Race on MTV, did you guys see it? There was a Lisa Guerrero ad. Do you guys remember when I used to quote her all the time here on the stream? Oh my god, we were watching Drag Race and Lisa Guerrero came up. I said, oh my god, please. Hi Lee, happy to see you. How you doing? Thank you for 33 months, and thank you also SlayMama123 for 34 months. Lots of almost 3 years, coming up on 3 years around here. Basketball, thank you so much for the 2 months of subscription. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Well, we gotta play Birdo first, but I'm definitely gonna do Dry Bones next round. So we want to do all the boards. I will say Shy Guys Express is the best one, but we will be doing it in order like we've been doing for all of these. So I don't know if we'll get to Shy Guy Express today, unless we go down. We do DK and then Shy Guy, but we're gonna do DK Treetop first. Who are you dry boning? Oh baby, I'm not dry boning anybody. Oh, that's not happening. What is with the aspect ratio with this game? That is very bizarre. Like, are we on a box TV? What is happening? Okay, thank you for the pan shot. Are we done? No. Oh, I have to do motion. Wait, do I need a nunchuck? I don't think I need one. You didn't disappear? You didn't go missing? I'm right here. There's an interview Lisa Guerrero does that she literally arrives in like a mask and she takes off the mask, like a Scooby-Doo segment. It's so funny. Lisa Guerrero is so funny. See, I would watch Lisa Guerrero after a 90-minute episode of Drag Race. And I wouldn't watch Todrick Hall after a 40-minute episode of Drag Race because they're cutting it for that. I'm gonna cut myself off. But you finish it. I didn't say I think Coolville sucks. Oh, I missed that movie. Can you believe people were talking shit on that movie the other day again? Like, every time, like, I know the new Velma show probably sucks from the clips that I've seen and from what I've heard. Don't bring up the live action movie. I will fight you. The live action movie is a classique. Yeah, to my understanding, I thought everybody was excited for the Velma show when it was announced, but everybody's like flipping the script. I could be wrong though. I have no idea. Oh, what's this? Not the, no! Not I from Super Monkey Ball. Has your boyfriend not seen the live action Scooby-Doo movie until last week, Safety? What is with all these men walking around with their dicks hanging out in their pants, flopping around, and they haven't seen the fucking Scooby-Doo live action movies? How dare you have a penis and not see that movie? Bandova, hi. Hi, John. Happy to see you both. Welcome in. Oh my god! This is the game that you have to jack off the soda can. Finish first in a 2-lap kart race. So this is just Mario Kart. Girl. If we get that minigame that I have to do the naughty thing to the soda can, nobody clip it. You're not allowed. Where am I? Oh! 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 Chopper, thank you for 22 months, my love. Thank you all for coming out today. I really appreciate it after my 12-day hiatus. Thank you. Everybody coming out, giving me some subs, giving me some love. I really, really appreciate it, guys. Oh, girl, I'm on the green. Wait, that's golf. Did you guys know I used to play basketball? I played basketball, soccer. Oh, played basketball, soccer, T-ball. You know, the T-ball for the T-girl. I did karate for a day, but they wanted me to take off my shoes. And I said, no pics for free. Not for free. I don't know why. I didn't do swimming lessons or karate because they wanted me to take my shoes off. And I was like, no! I don't know what the obsession of me being like, I should have done karate. It would have been so fierce. Oh, Sauce, that's so exciting. Congratulations. We love basketball. We do. She knows her way around some balls. You could say that. Well, we just saw someone in karate doing karate in heels. That was fierce. Slapping the board and cutting it in two. Oh, that's unfortunate, Toad, you fucking loser. Oh, and now you turned into a Bowser space. Look what you fucking did. I want it to be very clear, I'm playing Birdo, not Peach. I just spit. Oh my god, yeah, I rewatched it and it looked like that too. Sorry, you guys are gonna have to, this is the behind the scenes. I don't know why my capture card looks weird when I don't use my window capture. Can I take off the motion plus? Because it's distracting me. Wait, what happened? Did we all switch spaces and I just didn't notice it because I was talking to chat? I went right. What's going on? Did they really? Do you remember, you know what I remember? When we all played with the Wii balance board, and the Wii balance board would call you fat, the Wii Fit. I would stand on it and it would be like, you need to lose some weight, fatty. I'm like, ah! Oh my god. Sorry, my allergies are acting up. Yes, it would literally go, ouch! My mom and I talk about it all the time because my mom and I used to do it to get like, because that was like her only video game that she could play because she's not like a gamer. But she was like, I want to lose some weight. Thank you. While we're on kind of the topic of Drag Race, you know who I think doesn't get enough love that they deserve? Adore Delano. I know they were a finalist and like they're kind of a celebrity, but like, I hate, do you remember that phenomenon of everybody bullying Adore for wearing a t-shirt and booty shorts? Like, that was atrocious. That was terrible. So gross. Also, when everybody used to call me Adore Delano, true. I mean, we're coming closer and closer to that fact every day. But hi, Telesessi. How's the Smite grind? Hi, Jade. Why are we getting all the boring mini games? If we could turn back time. Oh my god, we're doing a TikTok mini game. I feel like Sugar and Spice. Okay, this is ridiculous. I want to get Uggs! What ones did Anne get? I want to see. I've been talking about getting Uggs. Go! Girl. Oh no, the other way. Oh my god, the motion control. Fuck! Oh, it's about to get real. Sojourn Old, it's about to get real. I need to win this minigame. I have no money. Please, I'm broke. Who the fuck is Ava? Is she the other girl? Excuse me, I was on it. Hi, Hellfire. Hi, Ava. Yeah, I know they had a sale or something, Telos. I saw, because I'm like subscribed to their newsletter. Or whatever. She most certainly is. You're so real. Thank you so much. Not to make my entire drag persona about Liv Morgan, but Liv Morgan wore this outfit to an appearance. I think she went to like a Saturday Night Live or something. But she wore this, and I'm just wearing it. It's on. She had a bucket hat on, but the bucket hat looks weird over wigs. Oh. Aren't you a cutie, Peach? There's something on my lip. Wait, the outfit, the Wiimote kind of goes with the fit. The white shirt. Everybody should start wearing Wii remotes as accessories. Like, just go into the store with my Wii remote, just... Oh, this was a good idea that I went this way. A Wii remote purse would be fierce, though. I would purchase. I would purchase. Oh, girl, you getting nasty with the Wii remote. Did you guys miss my burpees? We are getting all the boring mini games. What is this? We did a cart. I was driving to the grocery store earlier. The second one was fixing a clock, and now I'm decorating a cake. Like, why am I living like my 9-to-5 life? Like, what is this? Girl, I can't. Oh, he's so cute. This is not fair. This is not fair. The opponents on the team, on the other team they just hacked my Wii remote. Initiating the hack. Girl, I would start vaping if they made a Wii remote vape. It's over. Which A-list? I don't even need you to finish the quote. I know exactly what you were saying. You know what my favorite part of that challenge is? Alexis Mateo's little wispy bang. She has like 2 pieces of hair like coming out of her little wig. Her little ponytail. Also, Carmen reading the like... This is so, like, you guys, if you haven't seen season 3 of Drag Race, you have to see it. Carmen reading the teleprompter that's already pre-written for the other group, and it says Carmen Carrera on it, so she has to talk about herself in the 3rd person. She's like, she looks at the camera crew and goes, "What the fuck? Excuse, I'm right here." She goes, "Carmen Carrera and Stacey Lane Matthews were on the red carpet spotted," and you can see she's plucked about it. She said, "Could you guys not switch up the names a little bit?" She goes, "I didn't even know I was there." God, I miss her on TV. Girl, they need to do a season of Drag Race with everyone RuPaul hates. Not Redacteds, because I've seen that like on TikTok. People are like, they should do a season of Redacteds with Redacted Pie and Redacted Drink from Chicago. I'm like, no! No! Are you dumb? They should do a season with like Courtney, Willem, Carmen. Oh my god, Delta! I forgot RuPaul hates Delta. For no reason, by the way. Literally just fired her. Yeah, it's also kind of sad, like, Alaska's like kind of one of the best winners ever, so it's sad that we never are going to be able to see her on TV again. Because she just does the podcast with Willem. I don't know. It's weird that this is a 2v2. Who's on my team? There's Queen off. Oh. Oh, 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 bitch. I'm surprised they haven't done a first eliminated season yet. I'm really surprised. I don't know. I saw that they confirmed on like, oh my god, I was so scared my chair was already breaking, but it's just my shirt. What is he doing to me? Is that necessary? Bro just stole half my coins! Yeah, get fucked, loser! Sorry, I'm like chowing down so much, but like... Lately I've been sleeping at like weird hours of the day, so I just keep forgetting to make food. Like, I honestly haven't had like a dinner in like a week, which is bad. Don't take that as a sign of advice. I just keep forgetting to eat. But I'm gonna order, I think, I'm gonna order McDonald's tonight because I wanna see if I can get another Mario toy. I want all the Mario toys. I want them. Wowie, wowie. Did you see what they did to the Bellas sauce? They booked the Bellas for the Raw 30 celebration, but didn't tell them that they were booked. So they were like, we can't make it, you guys. They like literally like already told them, they like put them on the flyer for Raw 30. And then the Bellas were like, girl, we can't make it. We're busy. Who knows? I will say, like, it makes me angry how Triple H is booking the women's division. Like, I saw so many people on Twitter talking about it, and I totally agree. Like, I hate Vince McMahon, but Triple H is really bad at booking the women. Like, he's doing a tag team tournament right now for the men when the women's title picture is empty. Like, that is such a choice and kind of a slap in the face. Did anybody in the chat play football in high school? I know we're all gay, but like, I couldn't imagine. It's about to get real. Watch this. Get down, boys. It's the girlies versus these twinks. Move over. How do I pick up one? Oh. Yeah, get his ass! Get his ass! Get his ass! Girl, move! Yes! Yes! Touchdown! Is this how it feels like straight people watching like the Super Bowl? Move! Girl, go! I got him, girl! Oh my god, we do this until someone gets all the points. There's no counter. Wait, this is insane. Girl, beat his ass. Oh, sorry, Peachy. I just spit. Girl, move. Girl, oh yes. Double team. Girl, yes, one more. Girl, yes, I got it. Go on, Peach, go on! Oh. What the? Oh, she passed it to me. Ow! Ow! We got it. That was insane. I was a volleyball girl. I loved volleyball, but everybody in my gym class fucked up volleyball. Like, you can't play volleyball by yourself, but everybody in my class was just like bad at it, so we couldn't do anything about it. It was terrible. I started football and started crying my eyes out, but I played rugby for a year. Ooh, that's hot. I don't think I didn't play any in high school because like everybody was like, everybody in my high school, you know, like those straight people that are like, ugh, they're gonna look at me in the locker room and make me gay. Oh, shut the fuck up. Yeah, I will make you gay because you're gonna want this ass, baby. And truth be told, some of the football players Truth be told, some of the football players I used to go to high school with do want this pussy, and they are in my DMs. So, would you look at that? Okay, I'm really far away. I can hopefully use this to... Oh, hi, Curtis. Sorry, I was playing the thing. You rode dirt bikes? Now that's hot. Oh, I get to throw a dart. That is literally on the line. That is perfectly timed. Hi, Cereza. Oh, girl, I didn't mean to do that. Oh my god, did I just snipe the star? Wait, my mind? Hi, Oscar. Yeah, there's some guy in my school that's like notorious for being like, he's like the LGBT of the, you know. And the other, I think I told this story already. The other week he like messaged me on Snapchat out of the blue and I was like, the fuck do you want? And he was like, yo, what's up? Like, I just got back from the UK. Do you want to fuck, baby? Like, are you down? You want to have sex? I was like, get away from me. What the fuck? Ugh. Like, what do you mean? I don't know you like that. I'm the type of person, like, I need a couple dates before you get to see my accoutrements. I am the, I'm in my motherly era. It's always the T-chasers. They always be like, yo, what's up, girl? I am classy. I'm a classy lady. I was talking to my sister the other day. My sister and I hung out every day for a week. We haven't done that in years. Like, I posted that on Twitter and deleted it, but like, I haven't like seen my sister in succession for like 4 or 5 days in a row for like, I want to say since we were like 10 or 11. Like, it's been that long. Like, we're close, but we don't like hang out back to back to back. So I was telling Shadi about it, and I was like, girl, first of all, I told her about that, and then second of all, I was going somewhere with this story, but I don't remember where it was going. I really was gonna tell a good story, but I don't remember where it went. Oh my god. I was telling Shadi about how we haven't hung out in succession. What were we talking about? Everybody posting that emote? Oh wow. Classy lady. Okay, I really have no idea where that story was going. I wanted to tell something about me and Shadi, but I really have no idea where it was going. The way it slipped my mind, oh wow. The Trashly emote. Yeah, I have no idea where that story was going. I'm sorry to leave you on the edge like that. We had never hung out in succession for that many days in a row. What was I talking about? Girl. Not the bocce finish. Girl, I'm about to get fucked up. It's motion control? Oh god, I'm gonna get eliminated. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh. What the fuck? I think when I watched Kakagure, I made a reference to this because it reminded me of that. Girl, we're literally dying. This is literally a killing game. This is Squid Game. I feel an emotional connect. Oh. Okay, I didn't want this one, but okay. See, I didn't want that one, but the motion controls got me, gal. Not it being my 2-month anniversary. Well, good morning. Yeah, how did we get up there? I want like M for mature Mario Party that if they lose at the minigame, it shows them splatting or like dying or getting electrocuted. Like I want to see these bitches fucked up. Yes. I've now annoyed you for 2 months. Yeah, I would say like a month and then like 1 month of like only messaging me the word "oh," which is really the lack of any communication or a friendship. I donated, but I'm not sure if it popped up. Let's inspect. Oh, I got a new keyboard. My new keyboard is cunt. She makes lovely noises, gal. My bot's on, right? It has sound effects. I think it's just taking a minute. Usually donations take a hot minute. If not, I'll inspect. Oh my god, it's been 2 months already. My thing evolved. Yes. So it usually evolves every 3 months, but for the first 3, it goes 1, 2, 3, which I wish they would. For at least Twitch partners, like I wish they would add like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then like for the first year. But it's whatever, I guess. I watched that 2-hour video on chows and I had no idea there were so many ways a chow can look like. Oh yes, and on top of that, there's like, okay, my brain is not, I don't have any caffeine in me, so that's probably why I keep like not, my brain is like, oh yeah. I was gonna say, was it me? Are you surprised? I got called the T word the other day in a game. They're like, oh my god. They were like, it was like the troll profile picture. You know someone's gonna call you a nasty word if they have the pride emoji banner and then they have the Winston profile picture. Like that is the troll Reddit user Overwatch account, like grocery list. Oh girl, you could slide on the ice. But like in comp, you need to communicate, so I don't even care. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, it really does not. It's actually hilarious. There was this one game that everybody like rage quit in Overwatch for me, and it was me and the supports, and they were like, you fucking supports suck dick, like you guys are so bad at it, like you guys weren't healing us, like we would have won if you healed us. We had the most healing in the game. So me and they left the game after the game ended, and me and the support were like just sitting there like, oh hey girl, and they were like so nice to me. It was like super cute. They were like, girl. It was like some straight guy or whatever. He didn't say girl, but it was like super nice. He was like, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I was like, you too. Like, I hope people don't bother you. There's some nice people, but some people make me afraid to speak. But I'm actually never afraid to speak. I I really don't care, if I'm honest. I'm there to play Overwatch and climb the ranks. Like, I really want to get to plat, but every game I join, my tank sucks shit. Oh, baby, I will argue. I love to argue and fight. Like, bitch, I'm working with WWE. I want to be a wrestler. Baby, I'll fight. Like, I'll fight. Like, I'm not afraid to fight. If someone's gonna come at me in the Overwatch chat, oh, I'm gonna get on the keyboard and type keyboard warrior. Oh, I'll be on it. Or if they're in the voice chat and they say something nasty, oh, it's a wrap, girl. It's a wrap. Baby, I live in the shittiest area of Massachusetts. Like, I know how to fight. I know how to fight. Hi, Hangry. Hi, House Music. Hi, Jill. We're far away. Does everybody say happy belated birthday to Marshy? It's now been like 3 Australian days. And if we see Denny, we tell Denny happy birthday, but I don't know if Denny will be here. I actually used to have a really bad Massachusetts accent. I used to not be able to like talk very fluently either. Like, I mean, it's obvious sometimes, but like I used to have to take like speech impediment classes. So that's like sometimes why I like just get really quiet. I actually do have like a tick that I can notice sometimes on stream that I'm not gonna discuss with you guys, but I can tell by watching VODs, I can still see it from when I did speech impediment classes. And I used to get made fun of because of doing it. It's never gone away, and I'm not gonna tell you guys because I'm embarrassed and it makes me shrivel up into a ball, but girl, my motion controls aren't gonna work. This is Mario Party 8. Oh, 8. Oh. Aw, you dick. Oh! Ah! This is Mario Party 8, yes. Oh, oh! Oh, wait, a cheap cheap. Hi, Maddie. Oh. Oh, fuck! Ah! Oh, I choked. You what? You heard me. This is the curly one, but I wasn't loving how it was curled, so I had to straighten it so I can curl it better. Because the last time this was curled was fresh out of the bag. And I like my curls like looser. Get loose. Whatever you're eating looks tasty. Girl, I'm fucking chowing down on pretzels right now. I'm literally like shoving these pretzels in my face. I'm so sorry. But I want some caffeine and I need something in my stomach so I don't act like a dead body. Great roll. Very good. Nem likes them loose. Get loose. I love Lucy. Miss LaDuca. She's so auntie. Get loose. Oh, did she say that? Go. She spent 20K. That's pretty cheap if you think about it. We just lost. Same. I mean, I already liked her because I know I've heard really good things about her. I think everybody's just like being not. I mean, yeah, 20K if like drag is already pretty expensive. Like, honestly, like, I know a lot of the girlies probably spend upwards to 50K, if I'm honest. I think that's, like, the budge. Like, wigs are expensive. Like, a good wig is, like, $1,000. If you want, like, a human hair 40-inch to your ass, like, a really, really good one. Like, mine aren't that expensive, but, like, there are some really good ones. And then, like, styled hair, the rhinestoning on all the outfits, like, custom, then all the makeup you have to bring, and then, like, props, like, everything you need for Drag Race. Like, even, like, hiring, like, if I were to do Drag Race, I would, like, hire somebody to help me write like jokes, lyrics, and stuff like that. So like I would spend a lot on my package for Drag Race. Like, you're gonna be on TV once, like I would spend, even if I went home first, you know, like I would spend upwards to a lot of money. You never say no to TV. That's why I would never do Drag Race. It's definitely an investment. Like a really, really expensive investment. Like, I feel like the normal now for like Drag Race, like you have to take a loan out. You have to. Nope, I am not going to Drag Race. That's not what I said. Who would you do on Snatch Game? I wouldn't do anybody because I would probably get eliminated before then. And I would make sure I would get eliminated before then because I don't want to do Snatch Game. Yeah, it is getting really expensive. It kind of sucks because like even like people that have gone on the show like Willow and Evie that have shown like that drag doesn't have to be super expensive and it can be like super like fierce and you can do things yourself. Like still like the norm, everybody expects like Sugar and Spice are polished and have like money. Like I know those bitches got money. Like there's nothing wrong with them. They're fierce. Like I love them. But like everybody kind of expects that like level of drag from everybody, which kind of sucks. That's why like when Selena was on Twitter like cursing out like the twinks, like I was like go queen, because like just appreciate art and drag. Like I don't know, like, and if you're not gonna like somebody's shit, then don't be like nasty to them. Like even when the situation a couple of weeks ago with Jax and Sugar, I think, like you have to realize like you're in like this is the most high pressure like it's not gonna bring out the best in everybody. Like I don't know, like I think like back in the day, like a couple seasons ago, I definitely wasn't good at deciphering like who is a TV character, what's being put on for the cameras, and what's happening on the show. But if you look at it from a different perspective, if you look at it from like a mature point of view and you appreciate what is on TV and these people putting their like pretty much their lives like they expose their entire lives, they like talk about everything, like you get to know everything about them. They're spending so much money for the show. They're not going to be the same person they were before the show. So I just appreciate it all, except for Sherry Pie. Oh. Love the red lip. It's not red. That game was my favorite part of the show. I'd say it's pretty tired at this point, but it's all right. I think we've gotten the best of the best, so I don't think we need to keep doing it. I miss old Drag Race, same. Why? Oh, I don't have motion controls, I'm good. Except for Serena. I rewatched season 5 the other day. Such a good season. I have motion. I have to do this with. Why is everything in this game motion controls? What is this? I don't remember this game having so many motion controls. Like, what is this nonsense? Oh, ah, ah, ah! 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 Okay, I have something in my drafts about Kelly Mantle. I love Kelly Mantle. I don't understand why she hasn't come back for a season. Like, Kelly Mantle is, like, not to be like, oh my god, stan Kelly Mantle, but like, bitch is booked and busy. She's always talked about on Drag Race. She's always memed on Twitter. Like, bring her back. I don't know how to feel about house music. It's definitely a conversation. Like, everybody's talking about it. Like, we want shorter episodes. We want less drag. I just think, I don't think we would be bothered by it if, like, do they? I haven't watched the show. Do they sandwich the real the real F words of whatever in the middle of Untucked and the show. Do they sandwich it in the middle? I haven't watched it because I turn it off as soon as it happens. They sandwich it? Okay, that's messy, girl. See, like, I was part of the people that were like, I want less Drag Race. I want to appreciate the product that they make it. And it's kind of like frustrating that they would. I don't think, I have so many opinions on it, if I'm honest. I don't think it would, first of all, annoy us if they didn't cut it with whatever show that is. It also wouldn't bother me if Drag Race and the producers knew that the show was gonna be 40 minutes, because then they wouldn't give us all of this stuff that has to be sandwiched into 90 minutes. Because it's rumored that they found out weeks prior to this happening that it would get cut. So I don't, like, they probably would have done everything differently. They would have done Snatch Game later, so we could have really savored Snatch Game. They would do the ball later. They would do probably less runways even, so the queens wouldn't have to like spend so much money to get 2 seconds on the show. But yeah, it's all a bit messy. I don't like how it was handled. I just think, like, and also the cast is the largest we've ever had, so like it's kind of frustrating that, like, Darby said this on IMHO. Also, everybody go stream IMHO on YouTube, IMHO the show. Darby said, like, it's not gonna bother us when we get later into the season when there's like lesser queens, but like as of right now it feels a bit overwhelming, which I completely agree with. But it's just like frustrating that like if they were gonna chop it, they should have chopped it later after these first couple episodes. It's all a bit just frustrating. Especially with how Todrick Hall is handling it. Like, I can't. Did you guys know I met him once? Me and, oh my god. Bitch, I'm gonna tell the story, and Annie Soke is gonna gag me for this. Me and Annie Soke were at DragCon New York City, and Annie Soke and I were sitting outside of the Elf store in Times Square. Bitch, I can pull up the picture. I will message Annie Soke right now. Todrick Hall walks up to me and Annie Soke smoking a cigarette and goes, "Oh my god, I love your shirt. How are you doing?" He's like on the phone being an annoying little bitch and like just being so nasty. He's like, "I love your shirt. Like, where'd you get it?" Like, not being genuine at all. So, and he's like, "Yeah, like my shirt's from here and here. Can we get a picture?" And Todrick goes, "Ugh," like hangs up the phone and is like, "I'll take a picture." And there's a picture of me, Todrick Hall, and Annie Soke on the internet. Somewhere. But he was a nasty bitch, so. Nothing's changed. Nope, I'll remember that story. Ah, I'm gonna lose half my coins. Oh. Why are there coins all over the map? What's happening? If you're referring to Todrick with your comment saying no one is quite as they seem, it's pretty obvious that Todrick is an annoying F word on television and in real life, so I don't think that comment pertains to the information that was provided. But yes, very interesting. House music. It's the T-Girl telepathy. Yeah, why is Brad on that show? That just makes me hate him even more. Sorry. This is the minigame I was talking about. Why can't I get the straw? I don't want to. Should we make it a bit? I didn't want to do that. Should I do it like underneath the... Girl, can you just like hit up a Google like article? Oh yeah, Luigi's hard. Louise, thank you for the follow. Thank you, Kay. Jesus. Oh. Oh my goodness. Oh. What is that? Who had to do that with the green screen and the fucking capturing? Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh. Oh, girl. Oh, it's about to get down. Go! It's the Wii remote, please. Oh, did mine went the furthest? Mine shot the furthest? Of course, Nem is good at this minigame. What can I say? Luigi has 2 stars? Since when? Oh, great. On the nose. Thank you, K Lucky Dog. I remember when I got y'all onto Ethel Kane. I remember that day. I remember that day. Also, this hair, like... Don't make a 40-inch joke. Girl, if you walk into the room and I don't know you and you make a 40-inch joke about my hair and you're nasty to me, oh, it's on site. Girl, I don't care. That just gave me like baby drags at the bar, like, oh my god, I just started drag and I'm gonna read you to filth. Like, I don't know you. Thank you, Kay. You literally changed my destiny with Ethel. Exactly! Love her. That's history. If you don't know your queer history about Ethel, get into it. Mother will change your life. We are getting the worst fucking minigames in this map, girl. These are shit minigames. Fuji AF. Oh yeah, I love her, but I haven't listened to her music in a while because I'm already sad. I love Mother from afar. But her, I can't pronounce it. Patomlia, or how do you pronounce it? That's like one of the best songs ever invented. Yeah, I feel like you would actually really love it though, house music. Not even that because it's sad, but like the Preacher's Daughter album is like such a thing of beauty. Like the story and like the actual lore of the album is so cool, and like it's just incredible. And like all the memes you're gonna get after you listen to it, like because there's so many memes about Ethel on Twitter and stuff. Oh my god, my chat is in followers like 15. Hold on. I'm so sorry. That's from yesterday's stream. Hello everybody. Thank you so much for the raid. We are currently playing Mario Party 8 for the Wii. How was the stream, Pib? I've been lurking your streams lately on my little vacation, my 12-day vacation. I saw you were playing like the zombie Yakuza game. I was loving. And then I've also been watching and catching up on the Mario Party streams. But love you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. Anybody coming in, I'm Nemesis. My pronouns are she, her. You can call me Nem, Nemi, whatever you want to call me. Welcome in. We're gonna do some variety retro streaming today. I went to the retro store. I got Mario Party 8 and then this cute like little indie game. But yeah. Welcome in Onion. Welcome in Cosmo. Welcome in Face. Oh my god, I got a 1, a 3, and now a 2 in succession.
I'm ready.
I was kind of obsessed. I loved the zombie aspect. That's quite the message. Good morning to you as well.
Yes.
But I love the vibe of that. The zombie game. I love you 36 times. I love you too. I love you so much. Is that 12? So that's 3. I think that's 3 years. Is it right? 12 plus 12, 24. I'm definitely up there with yours. I think I've said this to you before. I think the only ones that I let go through, like, and I've never ever canceled are you, Dear, and who else is in there? I have like a handful, but I'm definitely up there with you. I just haven't been able to come to a stream lately because I'm trying to like be off the computer, but I love you so much. Fly in all directions. You are my idol. Love you. Do you ever just not give a shit? I have to commit murder. Oh wait, oh my god, I'm not shooting. Where am I? Oh, I'm the blue one. I thought I was the green one. Oh my god, yeah. The new, the ports of the, whatever they're called. I keep trying to say Fire Emblem. The Persona games I want to get. There was a press event. There was a Persona press event in downtown LA. Alice hosted like a launch party. Like, I want to go. I saw it on TikTok. I was like, oh, I want to go. I know, they should remake them, or at least port them, you know? They should HD graphics the ones on the DS. I have so many coins, but I can't get to a star. Yeah, I like in the new game that they do have the returning characters. I wish there were more, but it's fine. They're making DLC, but I want it now, you know? I'm so far away from the stars. That's not even gonna do anything. Like, what am I gonna do? How many turns do we have left? Shut up! Oh my god, I wanna know. Same, me too, John.
I'm ready. Yes.
I'm gonna look it up. Hi, gaming guy. If the leak is true, I'm 50-50. I think 2 of them are good picks, the other 3 I'm not a fan of. Which I'm surprised looking at it now that I'm surprised those 2 weren't in the original game. If you know, you know. I mean, let's just say it how it is. I'm surprised Chrom isn't in the base game. Chrom is like the most requested Fire Emblem character ever. Tomorrow's 23/1/23. Well, in America, it's 1/23/23 or whatever. Ike is very sexy. Ike is very sexy in the new game. I might actually play it a little bit later. Go! I just want people that are playing it to not like feel like they can't watch because of the stream. I got 420! Some of the Ava, I gotta send you this. Did you see my tweet? This one character in the new game? Oh, your pussy is going to be spread eagle. He's so fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited to work with them as well. Oh my god, literally, did you see that support of him feeling his muscles and getting all gay? I was like, this is so LGBT. He actually, if you do his supports, Ava, he says he likes being alone. But if you warm up to him, he's like, oh, I would actually like to spend time with you. He's cute. I like don't like, a lot of like Fire Emblem is a lot of like shipping. Like I don't ship him with anyone really. He's kind of just a loner. It is kind of history, isn't it? I don't know any other like trans representation like being supported by Dirty Duty. Whether that's me being signed by 2K or whatever, it's still something. Not saying I'm long, but hi, Arrow. Dia, whatever. I know, I love Etienne, and it makes me sad everybody is like, there's so much drama about her on Twitter. Why did she just go to the Bowser space? Thank you, baby. Oh, she did that intentionally. Oh, you nasty bitch. I'm actually not confident that I can win a duel. I don't really have a choice in the matter. Oh, I have to run into somebody? I thought you could just... That's stupid. Girl! Are you serious? Okay, at least I got a DK space. I'll take it. Okay, now we're tied for first. Thankfully. What was the first game you remember playing? Like, ever? In my entire existence? His name's, I think, Diamant. D-I-A-M-A-N-T. I would suggest, if you're looking at risque art of him, to stray away from a certain character that has a blue hair swooped to the side. Because that's his brother. So that's a little weird. If there's art of the two of them. I just know people do that. But I also wanted you to be aware that he does have a brother. Because I didn't want you to be like, oh my god, they're so cute together. Then you're like, what? I love Alcrest. Be nice. He's such a sweet boy. He gives me very, like, I didn't like Bernie in Three Houses, but I like, he gives me very Ash, but Bernadetta, like, mixed. I love them. He's actually one of my highest ranked characters right now and one of my strongest supports. Like, I have him. I'll show you my highest ranked characters right now. Hold on. My highest ranked characters are our clan, Alcrest, Alfred, because I want him and his little gay boy, Buffon. What is his name? Buffon, whatever the fuck his name is. I wasn't expecting to love Alfred as much as I do, but he's such a himbo and gay, it's like funny. And then what's his name? Uppy guy. He has like he's Chloe's friend. Fairy Tale. He likes to watch people. It's like kind of weird. He like loves watching people. Like he kind of gets like his rocks off of it. Like, oh. Oh, that's lovely. I love when I hit a... okay. Motion controls. Motion controls! There was literally no reason to make this a motion control minigame. You're so pretty. Thank you so much. Welcome in. Was that the last turn? Please be the last turn. That was horrendous. There were no fun minigames besides the shaker one. It was. Oh, this is cute. Oh, look at Bernette being shy. She said, hey everyone, I'm shy. She's a shy girl. Okay, what are the bonus stars? The candy star, dazzling. I hope that goes to me. Okay. Me. Yes. We're tied with Toad right now. If Toad gets the next star, it's done. Oh, I think Toad gets this. What? Ah. We were so close, chat. I was a lovely first runner-up. Those bonus stars. He landed on 4 red spaces. That's so sad I lost. I was robbed. I was robbed. What can you buy in this game? Let's look. Let's inspect. What do you mean select a character? To do what? Shop? Not second sis network. Oh, I didn't even respond to your message, John. Did you mean first game ever I've ever played? Why can't I open it? Oh, I've gotten none. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Jeez. I think Donkey Kong Country for the Nintendo 64 or the Super Nintendo. Very old school. Very old school. I love that game. Spider-Man 2 I used to play a lot too. I'd love to stream that game. Spider-Man 2 was so fun for the PS2. I'm gonna limit myself to 1 board per stream, so we're gonna swap to something else. Oop. That also makes for it so it's not like too overwhelming, and it doesn't drain itself too fast, because I did spend $40 on this, because I guess it's a cult classic.